Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Copilot Compass, where each week we take a deep dive into Microsoft 365 Copilot. As always, I have the pleasure of being joined by my esteemed colleague, fellow Copilot enthusiast, and our resident smart guy, Logan.
Thanks, Grant. Happy to be here.
Logan, why don't you tell the folks a little bit more about what they can expect in this week's episode?
Yeah, so as always, we're going to get started off with our question of the week. Then we'll get into our topic, which is Copilot in Microsoft Forms. So we're going to be going through some examples of how you can use Copilot to enhance your forms. So yeah, it should be interesting. And make sure you stay tuned to the end for a sneak preview of what we have coming out next. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.
Awesome. You ready to jump into our question of the week?
Yeah, let's do it. And remember, you can submit those either by leaving a comment on this video or by emailing the email address in the description. So this week, our question is, what are the most surprising tasks Copilot have been able to handle effectively in a business setting?
Ooh, that's a good one. I this one, I don't know if it's like surprising necessarily, but one thing like that I have found super valuable is you always, with Copilot, as long as you're on Teams and you've got, at least transcription on, it'll take meeting notes for you, and those are super helpful. But what I found is it's helpful for me as is, like, if I'm just reviewing the notes myself, like maybe it's a cadence or a series of meetings that we have, and I want to go back and look at last week's action items so I can catch up. That is, super helpful just right out of the box. But oftentimes you're sharing those notes with others and you have to like trim it down a bit. Like you might have an executive audience where you don't want to have like the full sentences, maybe just click short bullet points, or maybe you're sending it out to like a delivery team where they don't care so much about the strategy. They just want to hear operational updates. So you're kind of trimming things out there. So what I have found super helpful is I'll take those meeting notes raw out of Copilot and then ingest it into, it back into Copilot and using the chat interface and just tell it, hey, summarize this in bullet point format for a senior executive, or summarize this in paragraph format that I can send to a delivery team, or, like kind of give it the context for the audience I'm sending it to. And that has been a big help and a big time saver, because then I'm just making small tweaks from there. So yeah, I guess using Copilot to accommodate meeting notes based on the target audience is something that comes to mind for me. What about you, Logan? What comes to mind on your side?
Yeah, well, it's actually funny. I was literally something I was just working on today, and I might have given this answer for some of our other previous questions of the week, but it's because I really love it. It's Copilot in Excel, and specifically today, I was working on this reporting document, and it was like a complete mess. It was a huge document, tons of rows, and I was trying to organize all these different cities and countries. Some all in the same column. Sometimes it had a city, sometimes it had a country, and I just wanted them all to be countries, and it would have taken forever to do manually. And I
Yeah.
asked Copilot, "Hey, can you just organize these all by the country?" And it just did it. And it literally probably saved me hours today. So that's just kind of like top of mind. But yeah, it was extremely helpful. And yeah, I love using Copilot in Excel.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, good question of the week. One that we're excited about, haven't talked about it at all before, is Copilot and Form. So, you ready to kind of shift gears?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so if you haven't used Microsoft Forms, I'd encourage you to start doing that. It's a pretty cool tool. It can help you with surveys and with quiz questions or quizzes that you might want to do. So, maybe you want to poll your team about new employee engagement activities or kind of their priorities around that, or you want to create, a brief quiz that you want to distribute at the end of a training session. Forms comes with your Microsoft 365 or Office 365 subscription. It's free to use. It's really easy to use as well. And it can create some pretty visually appealing ones, especially with Copilot. So again, like, I think if you are already using Forms, awesome. You're still going to get a lot of value out of the, kind of the rest of this webinar, or this podcast rather, because we'll show you how you can both enhance and make that process more efficient with Copilot. And even if you're not using Forms today, I think a lot of times when we think about distributing surveys or quizzes, what stops us from doing it is just not having the time to commit to it. But it really, you can get some good high quality quizzes and surveys done in a matter of minutes. So we're going to show you a couple of examples of that. The first one is going to be building a quiz based off of, a Word document. A lot of times when you're creating a quiz or a survey, the way that those questions are brought up, it's not just one person independently says this is what we're going with. You're going to draft those up maybe in a meeting together, or you're going to create a Word document, or maybe even just type them out in an email and then send those to relevant stakeholders. You get some feedback. So you're very rarely are you building the first draft of the quiz right there in form. So we'll show you, how you can eliminate the step of copy pasting and typing things in off of a Word document into forms, but using Copilot to just produce it based on the document. And then we'll also show you how you can even faster make a quiz or a survey based on just a prompt that you give Copilot. And we'll show along the way some of the design enhancements that Copilot brings to the table with these surveys and quizzes. So, couple of crow's nests to cover with you. Let's jump right into it. All right, so if you're not familiar with forms, here we are. So it's just forms.office.com. This is kind of the way the platform looks. So you can see I can create a new form. I can do a new quiz. So the difference here, quiz has right and wrong answers. So as you're building those questions out, you're going to have to select what's the right answer. If you can do all sorts of options here, you can have multiple answers be correct. You can have the multiple choice, you can have, yes, no, true, false, those types of things. And again, single correct answer or multiple correct answers. So, a lot of the flexibility that you'd want to see, but you don't with a form, rather, it's free form, open-ended. So you can, it's the same setup. Like I can still create, I can have options there as far as like rating on a scale of like 1 to X. I can have it be star ratings where I click number of stars. I can have it do short text responses, long text responses, multiple choice again there. The only difference here is, again, there's a little bit more flexibility in the types of questions there, and no right and wrong. With the forms too, you can make questions required or optional. And then you've got a lot of flexibility with what you want the post completion experience to look like. So it's going to give them a default message, but you can customize that. You can have it show them the score or not show them the score. In the case of a quiz, you can allow for multiple responses or not. So a lot of flexibility there. And again, super user friendly. So what we're going to do to start with is we're going to demo creating a quiz. And in this case, we are building it based off of a Word document. So I will just quickly show you what this looks like here as far as the experience in forms. So it's gotten I can preview the form if I want. Be a little silly. We've done nothing so far. Here's the settings I can, kind of take a quick look at. There's a practice mode where people can try things out before they do it. Show the results. By default, it says yes, but you can change that to no. Who can do it? In this case, by default, it's selecting one response per person. But if I want to allow people to try again, I can untick that. And then options for the responses. We've got all sorts of stuff there. I can make it a time test, whatever the case may be. So yeah, this is kind of what that looks like. Styles, you can choose different styles. You can also customize it with your own logos here, but there are some default ones, including ones that have, like live images that move in the background. And then there's also some templates here as well. A grammar test, university student assignment, so on and so forth. So with that in mind, we do have a Word document we're building our quiz off of, and it looks like this. So it's a quick quiz on 10 multiple choice or true false questions about different pirate themed things. So we'll go ahead and use this. I'm going to close this out so it won't give me a problem as I upload it into Copilot. And then what I'm going to do is I can just paste in do it differently. I will just do a attachment here rather. So I'll go ahead and select this. I was just editing it. So here we go. And I'm just going to do just that. So it's going to take a second to load the document, kind of comb through it. And then as soon as it's ready, it looks like we're ready now. I'm going to go ahead and just select it. It's analyzing my requirements and it's going to start building out the draft. So I can see it working through here. Now you can see the green check is the correct answer. In my Word document, it was just bolded, but it was able to pick up the logic there. Sometimes you do have to tell it like, hey, the correct answer is in bold. The answer explanation is it filled something in for me. So let's take a look quickly at this, and I'm going to show you what enhancements Copilot actually did, even just on the Word document. So one is this pirate history quiz. So it gave a title and it gave this sub description here. If we go back to the Word document, and I'll pop that back open for us here for reference, what you may note is I have no title here. So it picked a title based on the quiz. I also have no description of the quiz here. It came up with its own thing. The other thing that's pretty cool here is that I have some yes and no questions and true and false. But in these cases, I only gave the answer as yes. They were called privateers in this case. So if we take a look at question 3, what it actually Copilot was smart enough to do is say, okay, in question 3, there should be a yes, but there also should be a no answer here. So it added that. So it figures out a lot of stuff for us here. Now, what we have is a fairly solid quiz. I'll preview it now. It says, hi, Grant, when you submit this form, the owner will see this email address. Okay, great. Submit it. Whoops. Sorry, we have to click to keep it. Forgot about that. Just like with, with like PowerPoint, you build the slides, you have to click keep it, or you have it give you an answer to, or sorry, a survey, text for Outlook. You have to select the keep it to actually edit it from there. Now, the other thing we're going to do actually before I show you the preview is you can see its Copilot is actually thinking through potential suggestions. And we'll go ahead and view those now and see what it came up with for us here. So enable practice mode for learning is a suggestion, update the title, the form title and description for a better engagement. You saw how basic it was when I did the preview. It's got some suggestions on clarity and a pirate theme background. Maybe I want to take a look at this one. Okay, so it's actually picked out some ones that it thinks are close-ish to pirate theme. Looks like a lot of water here. Cool. So I'll just do that. It's simple and easy. Maybe I want to, it says update the title and description for engagement. And now it's going to offer me some suggestions here. So it says pirate history quiz. I don't see what's different here, but
Yeah.
all right, now I'm going to look here. It says refine questions for clarity or engagement, improved phrasing and details, make questions more enjoyable and practical. Yeah, I don't see what I want to change with that one. So I can choose some of these or not, but I like the theme it suggested for me. Okay, so now I'll preview this. And so this is what it looks like as you send this to people. So as a quick description, the date, here's this cool background. I'm going to click start. And now, I'm just going simply through my quiz and clicking submit. So pretty cool. It took us only, 5 minutes to build this out. And it looks pretty, clean and professional. So really cool way to use forms in Copilot. Have Copilot build a form for you based on a Word document. All right, so now we're going to show you how you can build a form based on a prompt instead of a Word document. So I'm going to click new form here. We did the quiz last time, showed you what that looks like. I'll show you forms here, but the same experience to start with. So it says, what do I want to create? So maybe I want to say this is going to be an employee satisfaction survey for an IT team. Make the survey take no longer than 5 minutes to respond. I could type, and then we'll say include a mix of ratings as well as open-ended free-form response questions. All right, so this is just simple prompt. I gave it a quick idea, fairly generic. So I'm going to get really probably generic responses here, but I did give it a few key points. So one is I told it, hey, I don't want a ton of questions. It should take no more than 5 minutes. And so Copilot will be smart enough to recognize, okay, if I do a lot of questions, they've got to be select a response or, a rating versus free-form text. But now I can see here, took me just a second. It gave me a quick survey. It's got a quick description in here. So maybe let's say I look through it. I like it. I'm going to keep it. Or maybe I want to add a question. Let's say add a final question asking for any suggestions for employee engagement activities. And so now it's going to comb through that additional requirement, and you can see it came up with a new question here. So um, maybe I want to say, okay, you know what? This is only one question. I'm going to go back. I'm going to keep this. So I'm good to go here. And then again, it's going to do the same thing. So it's going to, Copilot reviews its own suggested survey and identifies some opportunities for improvement. And we'll see what it comes up with. Okay, again, 5 suggestions. Questions to address skill utilization and work-life balance. I'll click on that. Okay. Um, cool. So it added that question in for me based on that new idea that it came up with. So I'll go ahead and select out of these for now. From here, I can do my normal things. I can change the temp or change the style, change the settings around if I want to, and then easily distribute it. One thing, with the quiz or with the form, when you're ready to go, couple of things we'll show here is collecting responses. You've got ways you can do this. So one is, we did see in settings that we had this record name and, whether or not we want one response per person or not. It's going to give you this one last opportunity to do that here. I can make this open for anyone. I can make this open specifically to people within my organization. And then from here, I've got ways I can do this. So I can uh, have it come up with a quick little image that I can put into an email and share it out via an invitation. So I can type people's names and have it send it with this customizable note. I can also, of course, rewrite that note in Copilot. And then you can see down here, pretty cool. I can have it message in Outlook as an email. I can have it message in Teams, so Teams messages people, or I can do both. So that's one way I can do it. I can also just copy a URL and give them a hyperlink. There's an option to shorten that hyperlink if it's going to be, something they actually are going to have to type out, like they're viewing it on a deck physically in person. Another way here is there's a QR code option, so I can get this QR code option and download that and include it, at the end. Or I've got this, a way that I can embed it as well to put it into a web page or a sway, something like that. So a lot of options to get these responses. And then once you start to get those that roll in, obviously ours is going to look pretty boring. No one's done it yet, but you're going to see the number of responses. What's the average time? In the case of a survey, that's important for us. We want to see, are we on target with how long, employees in this case are taking to respond to it. And then what you'll see is kind of a collection of responses to each individual question here. Of course, you can download this into Excel, but, really cool, easy way for you to analyze your results. In today's journey of the Copilot Compass, we talked about Copilot with Microsoft Forms. And again, really encourage you, if you're not using it today, experiment around with it. Really cool ways for you to get some survey and quiz questions out to the team. And if you are using it today, hopefully you found some of these Copilot scenarios helpful.
Yeah, forms are a super cool way to, kind of drive engagement. And Copilot just makes it that much easier. So definitely worth checking out. And if you enjoyed the episode, make sure to give us a like, subscribe, and comment. And remember, we have our Q&A sessions every episode, so please give us those questions. And new episodes come out weekly on Tuesdays.
Awesome. Yeah. And next week, we're going to do something a little bit different. Logan and Grant are going to learn Spanish. So we'll explain a little bit more here. So basically, Copilot's a great tool to help you learn things. Whether it's new industry regulations or, a new topic you're interested in. I know, like, I've used it personally, like on something I might want to learn a little bit more about. I'll give you an example. My son, 6-year-old, is super into Legos. I wanted to learn a little bit more about, kind of Legos. And so I was, got into a chat back and forth with my personal Copilot, learning about some of, what's the current market, what's the, how did we get to the point where, fun fact, Legos are outperforming the stock market and gold. But yeah, so what we'll do is we're going to show how you can use Copilot to learn topics. And what Logan and I are going to do is we're going to learn Spanish with Copilot next week. So we'll show you options around that. Looking forward to sharing that one with you. So thanks for joining us. Hope you'll join us again next week. We appreciate you. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.